It's been an exhausting couple of days, but it's been an absolute treat to be here. Half of the people in this room, we've been friends for what? Half of our lives. Both of them have played an enormously huge, unbelievably unforgettable part of my life. Both of them, to be here with them is absolutely touching for me. All my best friends are within 5 feet of each other. I couldn't be more happy to be here. Thank you so much for letting me do this. I promise you guys, we won't be inappropriate, but we're going to have the best possible time we can have before 12 o'clock.
Your best man, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it one more time. Make some noise. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce once again our maid of honor. Give it up for Tara Benedict.
Good evening. On behalf of everyone here tonight, I'd like to begin with a huge thank you to John and Amy Schubert for providing for such a lovely evening. I am truly honored to be Rosie's best lady, as she calls me, and to be able to toast Brian and Rosie tonight. I feel so honored because these two are seriously, hands down, two of the greatest individuals that I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. And if you don't know them that well, you might think that I'm just saying this because it's their wedding and you know that's what the maid of honor has to say, but I can assure you that that's not the case. Because I think it'd be hard-pressed to find a handful of people in this room tonight who wouldn't feel the same way. I'm sure that there's many here who've been touched by one of Rosie's special birthday cakes, or maybe one of somebody here who's been helped by Brian and Rosie to move apartments, or just any act of goodwill that makes you feel like you really have a friend in this world. I know this is how they make me feel, and I know that we're all blessed to have them as our friends and in our family. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tara. I first met Rosie in 2nd grade. I transferred schools, I didn't know anybody, it was a new environment, and this person walks up to me, she's like, "Hi, I'm Rosie, and I'm going to be valedictorian." So, she was kind of a weird kid, but she did indeed achieve the valedictorian status that she never warned me about. And for as long as I've known her, and as well as I've known her, she's not a prophet, but all of Rosie's successes have come from her determination, hard work, and perseverance. And some of us who know her well might say that she's kind of stubborn. I mean that as nice as possible way, but I brought up the story of how I met her to demonstrate that in the 20 years that I've known Rosie, that there's never been a time that she gave up on something that she really wanted. And I know that this is why she's going to persevere in her promises to Brian. Einstein said that gravitation is not responsible for people falling in love. And I think that one of Rosie's greatest personality traits is that she doesn't allow gravity to be an excuse for anything that she does or doesn't do. But on the other hand, some of you may have witnessed that she can be somewhat competitive and somewhat stubborn at times. And some of you also may have witnessed the softening over the past couple of years. And I will never forget the day that the first time I heard the word compassion come out of Rosie's mouth. We were walking at Starved Rock, and it was a few years ago. We've been on so many walks and had so many conversations, I can't even count, all of which I treasure. But this day stood out to me because I heard my best friend, whose competitive nature and stubbornness I've grown accustomed to and love over the years, start talking about the importance of being compassionate. And I knew that you were behind that in some way. And I don't want to embarrass them at all tonight, and I don't think that I've actually told Rosie this, but that was the day that I knew that my best friend was growing up and that she would and should eventually marry Brian. And they share so many things in common, their music and kindness towards others and humor. I think it's easy to see that they also complement each other's differences very well. While I've come to know Brian better over the years that he's spent with Rosie, I haven't known him quite as long, but I don't think there's any, even on Rosie's side, who probably feel like they don't know Brian, because he really is one of the most genuine and welcoming people that I've ever known. And I'm not going to insult Brian by trying to tell him things about Rosie that he doesn't know, because I know that there's nothing that I could tell him about the woman that he just married. So instead, Brian, if you'll allow me a quote from one of Rosie's favorite movies. "You're not perfect, sport, and let me save you the suspense. This girl you met, she's not perfect either. The question is whether or not you're perfect for each other." And as a great friend, I think that you really are perfect for each other. But this isn't just words. It's my understanding of human relationships that people who are good tend towards others who are good. And this is why it's really such an honor to toast the two of you tonight. I know that everyone here and everyone who knows that you're both amazing individuals, but I'm really excited to be your friend and to watch as you each learn more from each other and grow together. And I'll admit that I might have been sad that day at Starved Rock when I realized that my best friend was growing up. But there's no better man that I'd rather watch her grow with. My greatest wish for your marriage is to see the two of you grow together, exponentially further than you've already grown as individuals. In other words, to share a real marriage and a real union. Because today really is the first day of the rest of your life as one. So now I have a quote from Goodwill Hunting for Rosie. "Look, Rose, you're my best friend, so don't take this the wrong way. But in 20 years, if you're coming over to my house to watch Primal Fear just to get away from your husband, I'll kill you." It's not a threat, it's a fact. Because the commitment that you made today is the most beautiful commitment that two people can make. I don't know much, but I know that. So, ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glasses. It is my honor to propose a toast to Brian and Rosie. This is not a toast of bluff and fluff and rainbows and unicorns amongst heart-shaped clouds and gumdrop cupids. No, this is a toast to true love, which is nothing unless it's divided by two. God bless you.
Beautiful speech. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for our maid of honor this evening. And for our final toast, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce once again the sister of our group, Lauren Benet.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, I am the sister of Brian Benet. And on behalf of Brian and Rosie, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out to the wedding tonight. We really appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that dinner is served, everybody enjoy. Dinner is not served, ladies and gentlemen. We're continuing the speech. Here we go.
I'm sure you're all wanting me right now to say something extremely outlandish about Brian, past being his sister, which I normally would, but I was actually with him for most of those occasions. And I wouldn't want to ruin my perfect reputation. Sorry. Actually, wait with that. I thought of that. About 11 years ago, I had this friend of mine who actually had a garden that he grew, and he brought over these pumpkins to my house. And this one day he brought over a pumpkin, and just said, once we get a little bit closer to Halloween, can we carve the pumpkin? We'll be safe here. And I told him, totally will be safe. Now, I actually wasn't there this day because it was my brother's 21st birthday party. But someone thought it was a good idea to give my brother not only a bottle of liquor for his birthday party, but also a samurai sword. Now, I don't mean to point any fingers or anything, but Jeff Lanikoski, what were you thinking? I came home the next day and my pumpkin was completely sliced up. I thought it was a good idea to take that samurai sword and just destroy this pumpkin and shove each and every split mark with pennies. Or quarters, I don't know, whatever. Now, most brother and sister would just scream at each other, rip each other's throats out at this happening. But Brian and I were pretty cool. We were able to talk about what happened. And we both took responsibility for what had happened. Taking responsibility being both of us jumping in his car and driving to like every pumpkin patch within a 15-mile radius, trying to find his people, which we never did. But it's still fun. Now, I remember, Brett and I, we've always had this close relationship where we've been able to talk about things. I remember this exact day. He came home from band practice that he was at, and he was talking about this girl that he really wanted to ask out. And that was Rosie. Now, I knew of Rosie, but I didn't really know Rosie, because we went to high school together, but we didn't really hang out. So Brian was asking me all this advice, and I didn't have any answers for him. But Brian, clearly being the Cary Grant of his day, was able to get her to go out with him. So good for you. And Brian actually still has like the coolest thing for her. I mean, he still opens up all the locked doors for her. And she does her part too. She makes sure she doesn't Bronx tail him. If you don't know what that is, it's basically while he's walking towards his door, she unlocks the door before he gets to it. To make sure it's unlocked for him. But good stuff. They still take care of each other, they still talk to each other every day, so it's pretty good. We're all impressed. So, I was going to say the uniqueness of your relationship can't begin to explain it, considering what song you guys walked into. But you guys didn't walk into a song, did you? So, did you? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to omit this part. But Brian, you're really lucky to have found Rosie. I mean, any girl who supports you, I mean, you decide to go back to school so you can become a teacher, and find a girl who like supports you while you're doing that, that's awesome. Not a lot of people can do that. So cheers for it. On behalf of the entire wedding party, I just want to say thank you all for coming out today. And if everyone will please take a moment and raise their glasses and please toast the new Mr. and Mrs. Burns.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that, dinner is served. Everybody, please enjoy.